Hey, I am so excited that you've joined me today. Now, you know today is our third Thursday, and every third Thursday of each month, it's kind of a cliff note, an abbreviated defining moment. So hold on, strap in, buckle your seatbelt. Let me tell you something. You're going to be incredibly blessed. I have a very dear friend of mine, Chip Pickering. That's a household name in the state of Mississippi and in the region and in the nation. You're going to be blessed from his testimony and some exciting news that he has to share with you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another edition of Defining Moments. I am your host, Larry Nix, and I appreciate you being here. Let me say this. I say this every week because I mean this every week. I appreciate you landing here for 60 minutes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 a to 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I say Central Standard Time because our studios are located in Pearl, Mississippi. And I know we have several global listeners that are like, where in the world is a Pearl, Mississippi? First of all, where's the Mississippi? We're in the southern part. We're the state in the southern part of the United States, all right? And if you were to take your finger and put in right in the middle of Mississippi, then that's where we are. Our studios are located in the Jackson metropolitan area, Jackson being the capital of the state of Mississippi. I am so glad that you've joined us. As I said, I know that you have other things that you could be doing, very important things. But for the fact that you land here for 60 minutes every Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, Tuesday and Thursday on these digital platforms, we've been blessed. And we're on like 20, 25, 30 digital platforms. Whatever that platform is, whatever your choice, we are there. And then you know that a couple of months ago, we launched our own private platform that God is giving us to build out IgniteMS.tv. And whether you're on the terrestrial signal driving around, we have a lot of truck drivers. Keep your eyes on the road, all right? We have a lot of truck drivers that listen to us. We have a lot of TSA agents that listen to us. Let me know when I'm going through. I appreciate you listening to us. God bless you. Listen. I'm not going to meander too much. I'm not going to give a long monologue today. Just know that I appreciate you. I love you. And thank you so much for your support. I remind you, you can always go on our IgniteMS.tv, watch all of the past episodes of Defining Moments. Also, you can go to and subscribe to our YouTube page. Once again, whatever the platform is, we are there and we have some exciting news to share. Well, listen, let me tell you something. I am so happy to have my guest. He is probably one of the busiest people that you will ever know, but he is one of the most, engaging people that you will ever meet. In other words, he's very busy, has a very demanding schedule. I don't know how he gets it done, but he is one of the most approachable people that you will ever know, you will ever have the pleasure of meeting. He is my friend, Chip Pickering. Now, I know you're like, Chip Pickering, well, you don't need to introduce him. Well, I really do for those of you that don't know him. I'm just going to give you just a small snippet because he has a very appreciable body of work. And I don't want to take up all of the time on his academic resume because if I read all of his accomplishments, we'd be here for 3.5 weeks. I don't have that time. You don't have that time. And he would probably chastise me after we get off the air. Chip Pickering featured in the Washingtonian as one of the Washington, D.C.'s 500 most influential people. Chip Pickering has been CEO of INCOMPAS since January 2014. During that time, INCOMPAS has achieved significant growth with leading internet backbone, business broadband, wireless, and international companies. Through his guidance and leadership, INCOMPAS has emerged as a leading voice advocating for laws and policies that promote competition, innovation, and economic development in internet, competitive communication, infrastructure, energy, technology companies, both large and small. Recognizing the transformative impact of artificial intelligence, Pickering established the AI Competition Center. Wow. One of the first dedicated industry bodies to focus on shaping policies and practices for the U.S. AI sector, with a mission to promote a competitive, trusted, and innovative NI ecosystem for the benefit of all Americans. In addition, Pickering has led efforts to enable next-gen services through Spectrum Access, advocate for solutions that fill current robocall regulatory gaps, and support consumer access to the content and services of their choice. Hold on, it gets even better. Pickering was a 6-term congressman representing Mississippi 3rd District. He must have been doing something right. Well, I can testify he was, and we miss him in that seat. But he's just as effective in the seat that he is in now. During his time in the House, he served on the Energy and Commerce Committee, where he was vice chairman from 2002 to 2006 and a member of the Telecommunications Subcommittee. He also was co-chairman and founder of the Congressional Wireless Caucus and an assistant minority whip of the House. Previously, Chip worked for Senator Trent Lott, and served as a staff member on the Senate Commerce Committee, where he helped shape the Telecommunication Act of 1996. I'm almost finished, maybe. Because of his role in drafting the 1996 Act, he became well known as congressional leader on telecommunication issues. While in Congress, Chip served as chair of the subcommittee overseeing the transition to the commercial internet, the establishment of domain names, registries, and internet governance. He also successfully led bipartisan legislative effort, my goodness, that's a chore within itself, to codify net neutrality principles through the House in 2006. Prior to joining INCOMPAS, Chip was a partner with Capital Resources, LLC, a public affairs and government relations firm where he represented an array of telecommunication clients, including wireless cable and competitive broadband providers, as well as nonpartisan and companies specializing in education, energy, technology, and defense. And he's been able to do all of this, and he is just now 21 years old. Chip Pickering, welcome to Defining Moments, man.
Larry, I would have told you to cut it short. You don't have to read it all.
I know you would have. That's why I didn't ask your permission.
But it's great to be with you, and to have a conversation this morning about later this morning meeting with Unite Mississippi.
Yes.
And what's going on in the city of Jackson, recognizing a great life in John Perkins.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and we only have a short amount of time today. We're going to go to 11:30 because Chip is the guest speaker for Unite Mississippi's monthly luncheon that will take place today from 12 to 1 at the Mississippi Agricultural Museum, the Forestry Building. If you're in the Jackson metropolitan area, I think we still have a couple of seats left, but if not, you certainly can log on to unite-mississippi.com, and of course we'll stream that live. What Chip has to share is actually, it's like, a major plate of the earth that holds the earth, it shifts. It's like a tectonic plate. The tectonic plate it shifts the trajectory of the future of our state. But so I'm not going to get into the academics of his life. You want to know that? Google it. He is all over the place. But Chip, man, you are a wonderful ambassador for the state of Mississippi, a wonderful advocate for the voice of people, for independent competition of people. You continue the legacy of your wonderful father. But where does all this passion? Because when you walk with Chip, you got to make sure you walk with a swift pace because he walks fast. Where do you get this passion from, Chip?
God wires us a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you have examples, my parents, my grandparents, having the opportunities to serve in Congress. You're surrounded by tremendous leaders, and you get to meet leaders from every sector, whether that's education, healthcare, defense, national security, economic, technology. And as you learn and grow from childhood through your adult life, if you look at it as a stewardship,
yes, that's good.
That God has given you experiences, hopefully enough knowledge and wisdom to know how to make places better, make projects happen, fight and advocate for good causes, and have campaigns to build communities, to make our institutions, our infrastructure stronger, more robust. That in itself gives you energy.
A good friend of mine, the Lord has blessed him with wealth, tangible, liquid wealth, and he's very generous. And I asked him several years ago, I said, why do you give as much as you give? And I know how much you give, and you give anonymously a lot because you pass it through me to give, and you don't want to be known. He says, because one day I'm going to give an account to what God blessed me with, and I'm going to give an account. Someone with your resume, someone with your footprint and your handprint, you're so approachable. I know it had a lot to do with the way you were raised, and you had exposure to missionary work early on, but why don't you just take your marbles, Chip, and go to the house?
This goes back to, do you walk with a purpose? Do you walk with meaning? And that gives us, I think, the energy in life as to what we're trying to do. And look, I've been so blessed both in family and in work and experience. I love Mississippi. I love our people. I love the city of Jackson. I love being able to work and team together. And that's where I get both a sense of drive and purpose and meaning, but also it's what God calls us to do. Whatever He has given us, whatever He's given anyone who's listening, the more that you can give it back, the better your life is going to be. And I think trying to challenge each, myself, you, all those that we come in contact with, let's build together. Let's build let's build a relationship together. Let's build our faith together. Let's build a family and the discipleship and the mentorship. But then, how do we make a beautiful city, a city on the hill that a place where people say God dwells there, and the community and the churches and the people of faith, they're demonstrating the good news of the gospel and the way that they live, work, and worship together.
Let me intertwine two questions into one. You and I, prior to coming on the air, you spoke of our very dear friend who a couple of days ago has gone to heaven, is his eternal home, John Perkins. You admire his legacy. You admire him. So did I. But where did that admiration come from for you, for Dr. John Perkins?
So I first got to know him. He worked with my father on reconciliation initiatives in Mississippi, racial reconciliation initiatives. He gave one of my sons an internship with the work that he did here in Jackson. And so it is both a father and a son. But if you look at his life story, I mean, what a story.
Yes.
I mean, a childhood that couldn't be more adverse, more difficult, more horrible in many cases. But he came out of that, found faith in life, and then what he did during the civil rights period, what he experienced, the loss of his brother, his beating, but he never hated. He never gave in to that, and he had compassion for all those, even those that opposed him, tried to harm him, and that real faith and the courage of his convictions, as you and I talked about earlier, courage is contagious, and
courage is contagious. That's powerful,
and that comes from a very deep faith that was recognized around the country, and he really became one of Mississippi's great heroes. And so as he lies in state this week, as we remember him, remember his family, he's someone both as a citizen and a Mississippian, more importantly as a fellow believer, someone we can look to, admire, and say he ran the race, he lived a good life, and God will welcome him, or has welcomed him, into his home forever.
As you give a calibrating statement of wisdom based upon your relationship with him and what you will remember for the rest of your life about your relationship with him and the passion that he lived for, what would be your takeaway that you would share with those that are watching today about the legacy of John Horn that we all ought to embrace?
The great thing about John Horn and
John Perkins.
Well, John Horn will tell you that John Perkins was his mentor, and so his influence continues to live out and to be present and manifest in John Horn and his leadership over the city today. And what I would say about John Perkins, he lived a whole gospel. It wasn't segmented, it wasn't walled off, it wasn't fenced off. Whether it was in relationships and reconciliation and community development in the making a neighborhood whole to fighting for justice and governance.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. My friend Chip Pickering on Defining Moments. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I know, Chip, you speak. It seems like you have woven it as a part of your life, holistic gospel. What is when you talk about holistic gospel, Chip? What does that mean? Because I know you're all over the country, but I've been in meetings with you when you're talking about developing the community, making sure that the community is safe, and the community prosper. Man, I see your eyes, and you're excited about making sure that the tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, a holistic gospel is, we're called to live out our faith, not just in the walls of the church, but in our community, in our neighborhoods, and in government, and in every walk of life, and every aspect of our individual lives. How do we communicate the gospel, and then how do we live out in a way that honors and glorifies and reveals God? And that is in every part of life, every sector of the economy, every sector of life as we know it. God calls us to be light in everything that we do. So I try to integrate and want to integrate everything in every part of life.
So listen, we only have about 15 minutes, and then Chip has to leave because he is the luncheon speaker at Unite Mississippi's monthly luncheon from 12 to 1. If you're near the Mississippi Agricultural Museum, the Forestry Building in the Jackson metropolitan area, that's Hines, Madison, Rankin County, there are a few seats left, but if not, you certainly can log on at 12 o'clock from 12 to 1 and just hear a little about his testimony and all the wonderful things that he is doing. Every arrow has a tip, and I consider you as one of the people at the tip of the spear. Because as much as you are a significant leader in the corporate arena, all right, in the policymaking arena, man, it seems like you utilize intentional. You're intentional, Chip, about utilizing your influence to better the community. One such initiative that you're involved in is Hope Rising.
Jackson Rising.
Jackson Rising.
Which is
talk about that.
It's actually an initiative of the mayor of the city, but I'm part of a foundation called Great City, and our basic message is you can't be a great state without a great city.
I love that. I love that.
And what are the things that make a city great? So you have to start with the essentials, and that begins with safety, security. You have to have strong and modern infrastructure, water, sewer, roads, the basics, the fundamentals. And then how do you layer on that leading education, workforce, research, and the hubs that will develop and grow a future economy, give prosperity to a city? And one of the things I'm excited about in the Jackson Rising is John Horn has named Bishop Crudup as part of a faith initiative.
Yes.
To bring everyone back, everyone together, and to have sister church relationships. Bishop Crudup would call it the parish concept.
Yes.
That one church from the suburbs or from the urban areas
right.
pair together. They make a commitment together. Is how do we disciple and mentor the young people in this neighborhood? How do we If it is blight, how do you turn blight to beauty? How do you address crime so that everyone can be safe and secure? How do we give young people the educational opportunities and the workforce opportunities and future careers so that they can feel a meaning and a purpose in life? And so it's a holistic approach, but it's church to church, bringing all parts of the city and the Jackson metro area together to build a city on the hill that reflects the good news of the gospel, that tries to seek a lost generation, mentor it. One thing that you and I have talked about is the Better Man initiative.
Yes, absolutely.
From that, I'm in a small group going through the Better Man.
It's great, isn't it?
Manuals and week by week, what they're trying to teach and defining, and especially for all men and for the next generation, what does it mean to be a man in God's definition? And it really, I think, gives a spiritual foundation that allows us to change our culture first, and then and as you know, culture is everything.
That's right. That's right.
And if
one thing, yeah.
And from that you can build, a good city hall, a good state capitol. The governance and the principles and the values that we hope are reflected in how our government operates and makes the laws and the decisions and allocates the resources. But that comes from the bottom up, from the people to those who govern.
Wow.
And the culture that we shape in our families with our children, fathers to sons, and then older men to younger men, and mothers to their daughters, and for the women to have a sense of God's meaning, purpose, definition. Mm-hmm. And so what we would like to do is we look at Jackson holistically, not just from public safety, infrastructure, education, healthcare, economic development, but really the core, the foundational. How do we build the spiritual culture that's
powerful,
that will give our city something that we can all be proud of, that unites us, and that's why I'm excited about Unite Mississippi.
Sure,
that's really its mission.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it's why it's brought everyone together.
But
it's why the mayor has asked Bishop Crudup.
Yeah,
because he knows our greatest strength in Jackson is our faith community.
Absolutely,
and if we build from that foundation, then we can build other things, and we can be, great things have come out of Mississippi. And I was in Congress during Katrina,
right,
after the largest natural disaster in American history at that point. And it was really the faith community and the churches that came in and really made the biggest difference in the recovery and the stabilization and then the revitalization of Mississippi and Louisiana. And it really was a witness to the good news. How do we do that for Jackson today? That's a city that's been in decline for 40 years, that in many places in the city it looks like a natural disaster has come.
Right.
How do you restore the city? How do you rebuild the city? And it begins, I think, in the discipleship and the mentorship of the next generation.
Yeah.
But it needs to be holistic.
Right.
And that was one of the great things about John Perkins.
Yeah.
How do you make a neighborhood whole?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just in part. It was, how do we look at healthcare, education, safety, all the things that make a neighborhood either a place of healthy life, or a place that you have a declining and deteriorating and dangerous place.
Well, you know what? We have, hello, Dominique. See you, babe. Love you. Sister Winsley, so it's good to see you. Sister Dean, see you from Atlanta, from Tampa. We have people watching from all over the place. What would be, because you're saying we are the answer to our problems, all right? How would you suggest for people to become the solution to what they see?
Get involved, get engaged.
That's it.
Both in the church, in your neighborhood, in your city, and like John Perkins, don't wall yourself off into just one part. Even though your strength may be in one part, go to where you're strong, but also, find ways to build teams of people that can address each of the different elements of life in community and neighborhood and faith, and then try to integrate and build the teams and the talents that God has given us.
Oh, that's good.
To then be able to restore a place.
You and that makes sense, because a lot of folk try to work outside of their gifts and talent, and it becomes a disaster. And what you just said made a whole lot of sense. Work within the gifts and talent that the Lord has given you. You're not the entire body, but you're part of the body. Create synergism with other parts of the body for the good of the whole. Okay. And when people look, and I'm sure you've heard it when you were in Washington, as you travel all over the world, all the country, man, what's a Mississippi? Ooh, I mean, do you guys still have wear shoes down there, rock roads, and the Klan still in riding horses and terrorizing people? But you have made a concerted effort, Chip Pickering, to say, you know what, this is where I'm sticking my sword, all right. And we're going to build. It's not an either or. It's a holistic approach. It's an and. And as a result of you being out front, being the number one PR agent along with others for the state of Mississippi, a lot of economic development is happening.
This is Mississippi's moment. This is the.
Now, what does that mean? I want you.
So, from a.
I see you, Ruth Ann. Love you.
From a data quantitative point of view, we've never had this level of major investments into our state in Mississippi's history. I think something like $70 billion over the last 2 years. Big investments like AWS and all the data centers from Meridian to Brandon to Madison to Vicksburg to XAI just south of Memphis in DeSoto County. The AI infrastructure, energy networks, data centers, fiber networks that are the first wave of a new technological transformation in an intelligence age that is coming, where we have advanced manufacturing, advanced research, and advanced cures for cancer, and just remarkable applications and uses of what is coming out of this technology. And Mississippi is poised and is experiencing to be one of the leaders in the South and nationally in this new infrastructure, new economy.
We're talking about the same state, right?
Mississippi
in terms of the Magnolia State.
And this is the thing that many people do not know.
Okay.
When we were building the internet infrastructure,
yes,
Comcast is the largest cable company in the world. Most people don't know it started in Tupelo, Mississippi. Then went to Meridian, Mississippi.
That's right.
Then my hometown of Laurel, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so we have the king of rock and roll from Tupelo,
that's right,
Elvis Presley, but we also have the largest broadband company in the world. WorldCom, a small company that started in Brookhaven, Mississippi, then went to Jackson, Mississippi. At its peak, it was the largest internet backbone company in the world. And it had a global internet backbone that was across every continent, a global internet backbone that really, even though WorldCom went away, the network that carries all of the internet traffic and now the AI applications was built by a Mississippi company.
Wow.
As you look at your phone, or anybody listening today looking at your phone, the first big application that transformed the wireless industry was texting. There was a company called SkyTel.
Yes.
That started in Jackson, Mississippi, and it was a two-way pager. And they had to get a special license to be able to do that. But that technology and that application then, when adopted in the cellular industry and the cellular device, it eventually led to the BlackBerry, where you could do emails.
That's right.
And then the iPhone, which can do everything. So as you look at the companies that built the internet infrastructure, really leading the way, and some of the early applications that gave us what eventually became the iPhone and the app economy and all of those types of things, Mississippi played a disproportionate role.
My goodness.
Both in the building of the economy, but in setting the rules, the laws, the regulations, the policies. We had Senator Lott
Yes.
Senator Cochran, I got to work on those early laws that formed the basis of where we live now in an internet information age. Mississippi is going to be one of the key leaders in the next wave of technology.
Oh, my goodness.
But technology can be used for good or bad.
Yes.
As you know.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it can be the most wonderful. It can be the most horrible.
Yeah.
There has to be a foundation of meaning that's more important than whatever technological age comes.
Yeah.
That is enduring, that's eternal, that is ever present. And that's where we have to give our young people in our city the spiritual foundation that unites and heals and builds and recovers and restores.
Yeah.
And if we can talk about that today at Unite Mississippi, and then put a plan of actual action to be doers of the word
and not just hearers.
That's right.
And I appreciate your approach. Boy, I see all of the comments. I'm going to get him back here. I'm going to have to get back on this schedule, but he's all over the place, but he is doing great work. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. My guest today has been my very dear friend, Chip Pickering. Join us at 12 o'clock at Unite-Mississippi, and he'll pick up where he left off. There are so many wonderful things to share. Chip, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, Larry.
And God bless you. You're a treasure to the state of Mississippi.
Great to be with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And remember, there is hope. We'll see you next time.
Hey, my name is Kyle Reno, Senior Pastor at Cross Gates Baptist Church. Here's a defining moment from this last Sunday.
Tell you the truth, this